Hello and welcome to this Enlisted video. As you can tell by the title, this is going to be my personal review on the game, and if you should get into and play Enlisted yourself. Enlisted is a multiplayer, free-to-play shooter based on the freemium and microtransaction profit models, set in World War II, allowing you to play as different nations and in different theatres of war. Players are put in command of squads of soldiers or cruiser vehicles and work together as a team to defeat the enemy in objective-based game modes. First off, let's talk gameplay. The gameplay loop in Enlisted is simple. You spawn as a squad of soldiers and fight for objectives on the map. The AI squad system is more of a feature to enhance the shooting gameplay rather than the tactical gameplay. You control a soldier inside your squad and are free to swap to other members, kind of like a warrior spirit possessing new hosts. You're in full command of the squad and can issue commands to any member as any member. AI soldiers in Enlisted are kind of intentionally dumb. They aren't super smart, fast reflexes super soldiers. They're kinda just extra bodies for you to use as respawns. You want to keep your soldiers alive and close to the action, as this keeps you in the frantic gameplay, as opposed to telling your soldiers to hold key positions or carry out tactical tasks. The AI is meant to be dumb and slow and not put up much of a fight. This makes battles of Enlisted, which are 10 players versus 10 players, feel much more than that, as there could be up to 90 soldiers running around from both teams. Clearing out entire squads of soldiers is fun, and being able to take a second, third, or more chances at gunfights that you lose when you swap to a new soldier is incredibly fun and keeps you engaged, much more than other shooters can, where a single death is a lot more impactful. You might look at this game as a milsim experience, and it's true that Enlisted does contain some milsim features and is a bit grounded in its experience, but keep in mind that Enlisted is 100% mainly an arcade-like shooter, with roots in realism that enhance the gunplay and overall experience. If you want a milsim experience, go for Squad, Hell Let Loose, Tarkov, etc. I would say the skeleton and spirit of Enlisted gameplay is most akin to a Battlefield game. Enlisted really isn't like any other game though. It has a novel and unique identity that really separates it from competing with other franchises. You can't get this fun gameplay and ideas anywhere else. Apart from telling you all the amazing and fun things I could about the gameplay, is there anything that isn't great about it? I want to keep my review, well, not unbiased, I don't think that's possible, but fair, and I do recognise that each game can have its flaws. I guess a major drawback of Enlisted gameplay is the combined arms experience. In most cases, this is good. It's enjoyable to have a main focus on infantry, with 1 or 2 players per team focusing on bringing tank support and planes in the mix too. However, sometimes the capability of tanks and planes in wiping out teams of infantry is way too strong. It's not a good time when suddenly your intense, fun, and engaging infantry push is put to a stop by a singular high explosive tank shell or a barrage of rockets from the air. There are small, nagging issues of game balance that can really sour the experience of a single match. Certain maps are impossible to survive the bombings and plane rocket barrages on. Certain maps allow tanks to sit in unreachable positions and decimate infantry playing the objective, whilst being effectively invulnerable, too far from the action for infantry to fight back fairly, and the only answer being a plane. This doesn't happen regularly, but when it does, it can be an incredible pain point for most of the player base. Keep in mind, I am not against vehicles in Enlisted. They just personally don't entertain me as much, so I don't play them often, but I appreciate what they add to the game. What I despise is when vehicular advantage is unfair and almost exploitative, to the point of a singular player controlling an entire match, akin to like a nasty kid killing ants with a magnifying glass and the sun. Vehicles are fine, but gameplay imbalance and exploits of mechanics are not. Let's get into the next major draw of Enlisted, its grind. If you've played games such as War Thunder or World of Tanks, you'll be familiar with the tech tree. Players can choose a faction to play in Enlisted. This determines the enemies they face, the locations they fight in, but most importantly, the technology and weapons they use. Obviously, you won't find many cases of Germans using Russian weaponry, outside of where it fits in historically, such as captured and modified PPSHs, or Russian anti-tank weaponry being American and Germany launchers. The main factions are as follows. First, the USSR, the Soviets, the Russians. They use a mix of their own weaponry, as well as lend-lease or borrowed equipment from allied factions, such as American and British weapons. They also have a mix of captured German weapons from the quick retreat of Germany out of Russia during the war. Next is the Allies, in which you will play as American and British soldiers mainly, although mostly USA, as well as a select few groups of Moroccan, Australians, New Zealand, Canadians. I may not be 100% correct in those, but you get the idea. The Allies faction will find you able to equip weapons and vehicles from all of those factions inside the United Allies. Up next is the Axis forces. These consist mostly of Germany and Italian soldiers, equipment and vehicles. There is a small amount of other countries sprinkled in, but not as a main focus, such as soldiers or equipment from like Hungary or Poland weaponry. The last major faction you can play as in Enlisted is the Japanese. This is a pretty underdeveloped faction in Enlisted, with the smallest number of maps and the smallest tech tree. Japan are pretty isolated and they use basically only their own equipment within the game. I'm unsure, but maybe in the future Enlisted might expand into more factions such as France, or have Soviets fighting Japanese. We'll just have to see where it goes, but there are plans for stuff like that. So, you've chosen a faction to put some time into. How is the grind? Oh, the grind is big in Enlisted, which can be a positive and a negative. It will take you a long time to fully research, max out every upgrade, get the best soldiers and squads. You can really work on grinding Enlisted to min-max for a very long time, which is a positive as you will have reasons to play and keep playing. Although, let's get to the negative part of Enlisted grinds. It's maybe a little too long, especially for new players, lesser skilled players, or players who don't buy premium account. The experience grind for unlocking new equipment isn't too bad. The issue is the silver economy in my experience. It takes too long to earn enough money to buy the stuff you've unlocked for all your soldiers and tanks. It's bad. Let's look at how it works. Your army starts at tier 1 battle rating. It's important to distinguish the two as tier is mostly irrelevant, only really the cost of equipment. It's the battle rating of equipment that matters. As you play and earn experience, you unlock new weapons, vehicles and tools. Unlocking certain technology also comes with new squads, which you can equip to your roster, allowing you to make strategical choices of what you want to specialize within your lineup. Undoubtedly, some classes and specialists are better than others, but bringing a lineup that suits you is most important. You can bring engineers, machine gunners, snipers, radio men, and most squads do allow you to bring different types of specialists, which means you can really bring anything after a certain point. Apart from unlocking new weapons, vehicles and squads, we also earn experience for the squads and soldiers we play as. This allows us to enhance our soldiers with higher levels, new equipment, perks, squad rosters. Enlisted really allows you to earn your upgrades and make choices and decisions to reflect your personal playstyle or personality. It's great! A bit of a weakness, but also a positive of Enlisted grind, is the battle rating system. Currently, and this is subject to testing and change, there is a hard matchmaking rule that allows players to be put into two different types of games. Battle rating 1 to 3 matches, which mostly includes bolt-action rifles, SMGs, weaker semi-auto weapons, pre or early war to mid-war technology. On the other hand is BR3 to BR5, which uses much more advanced tanks, anti-tank weapons, fully automatic rifles, assault rifles, bigger machine guns and late war SMGs. In that system, the best tiers to play are 2 and 5, with 1, 3 and 4 being kinda pointless. You don't want to play BR1, because BR2 and BR3 have an advantage on you. You might want to play BR3 to meet those BR1 and BR2 opponents and have the advantage, but you can also go up against powerful weapons of BR5 players. The same goes for BR4. It's better to just be a BR5 player. However, Enlisted recently started testing a new soft matchmaking rule, which allows games to be played in +1 - 1 rather than +2 - 2. This means that if there are enough players to make a match, BR1 equipment doesn't have to fight BR3. BR4 might get put into a match only against BR4 and 3, or sometimes have to fight BR5. This is a massive improvement to the game and really allows the use of different tiers of equipment. Maybe you favour bolt actions. You can stick to BR1 and BR2 and see few automatic weapons. Maybe you like late war tank designs and want to use the mighty Panther or Tiger 1. You can reasonably do that now and fight equally balanced and fair opponents. Last note before I move on from the grind is that you are free to play any nation and at any tier or battle rate, and you will progress through the faction's tech tree. So, if you get a little into BR3 for example, and you don't like it for that nation, you can stay at battle rating 2 or 1 and unlock stuff into tiers 4 and 5, and skip tier 3. Just keep in mind that your highest equipped weapon or vehicle determines your battle rating. You could be bringing an entire lineup of tier 1 bolt actions like Kar98Ks, but if you equip a single tier 5 STG assault rifle for example, the game treats you as an entirely BR5 player in terms of matchmaking. So, should you play Enlisted in 2024 and onwards? I would say, yeah! And if you're skeptical, give it a try, as it is free to play. It's also capable of running on even the most potato gaming setups, similar to League of Legends. The gameplay is very solid in Enlisted. Granted, it is not for milsim audiences, and this really shouldn't be compared to milsim games, such as Hell Let Loose or Squad 44. They offer very different experiences. Depending on when you watch this review, the game currently is unreleased on Steam, but it is planned to be released on Steam. And if you have seen it on Steam and are curious about it, it's a great time to get into the game. The previously failed Steam release is kind of embarrassing, and I don't know too much about it, but it was bad. They tried to sell a free-to-play game for $20. Dumb. Some corporate decision. But hopefully, the re-release on Steam is successful, and I have seen many positive changes to the game during my time in playing. If you played Enlisted many years in the past and didn't enjoy some of the issues, give it another go. It's improved a lot. I'll leave on screen a recent post by the devs for you to read, as it details their current roadmap or plans of sorts. The game is moving in a positive direction, and I hope you can try this game out and enjoy it as much as I and many others do. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.